The Emperor of Nor has been killed, his death shrouded in mystery. The fate of the Empire now rests in the hands of his children, a daughter and 2 sons. Together, they must bring stability to the Empire to face enemies of today and enemies of yesterday. And in the midst of all this chaos, gods walk among mortals. This is the backdrop for Brian Staveley's Chronicle of the Unhewn Throne trilogy. The 3 books are The Emperor's Blade, The Providence of Fire, and The Last Mortal Bond. Before I get into the review, let me explain how I actually do reviews. Personally, I'm not a fan of a single rating for an entire series or book. Many books and series have strengths and weaknesses that a single score doesn't properly reflect. So for my reviews, I use a 5-star rating system, with the 5 being the highest, over 6 categories. And they are plot, world building, characters, magic system, writing, and enjoyment. But before I begin, these videos do take a lot of time to put together. So if you like the video, it would mean a lot to me if you subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Category 1, the plot. The Chronicle of the Unhewn Throne is set in Nor, an empire that is ruled by the Malkinians, whose claim to power comes from the divine who gifted them burning eyes. The trilogy focuses on primarily the children of the murdered emperor. They are Adair, the eldest sibling, Kaeden, the middle child and heir to the throne, and Valen, the youngest child. When the series starts, we learn that the 3 siblings have been separated from each other per their father's instructions, so each can learn skills that will help them lead Nor. Adair doesn't get to go too far. She's in the capital to learn statecraft. Kaeden is in the Ashkelon Mountains learning the vanity of the Shin monks, and Valen is at the Kurin Islands training to become a Ketterl. If you want to know who they are, think Navy SEALs that ride gigantic hawks. Look, it's fantasy, alright? What'd you expect? Anyway, I'm going to try to keep this as light on spoilers as possible, so I won't go into specific details on events and characters. So, the first book is all about setting up the board for the trilogy. It focuses primarily on Kaeden and Valen and details their training in their respective parts of the world. With Valen training to be an elite soldier, his training is predictably brutal. Surprisingly though, Kaeden's training is quite harsh as well. You learn quickly that the monks in this world don't mess around. While there is a main character in the series, she doesn't do much in the first book. Her arc in the first story is to uncover the plot surrounding her father's murder. This pursuit brings her in close contact with Iltornja, a military leader of Nor, and has her orchestrate the death of a religious leader. The book concludes by uniting Kaeden and Valen under very dire circumstances. The second book takes place right after the first book, so basically you pick up where you left off with everyone. Regarding our main 3 characters in the series, they all get equal time in this book. Unlike the first book, Adair gets the opportunity to shine, and boy, does she take that opportunity and put it straight into the trash. I'll elaborate more on her in the character section. For brevity's sake, I'll just explain what she ends up doing in this book. She flees the capital because of what she learns in the first book about Iltornja and his connection to her father's murder, and joins the same fanatical religious group whose leader she sort of had murdered in the first book. Yeah, make it make sense. But wait, there's more. Despite what she learned about Iltornja, she ends up signing with him at the end of the book in a pivotal decision that pits her against her brother Valen. I know that's very vague, but trust me, if you choose to read this series, after you read the scene she has with Valen, you will repeat my words. Make it make sense. As for Valen and Kaeden, they decide to separate after reunion in the first book. Valen needs to go to the capital to contact Adair, but things don't go as planned for Valen. He ends up getting captured by the Urgal, a barbarian army who is amassing on the Annoying border in preparation for an invasion. During his captivity, we learn a lot about the Urgal, and more importantly, their leader. He's eventually let go to carry out a mission, which is what brings him into contact with Adair later. Kaeden, on the other hand, decides to go visit another faction of monks called the Ishin monks to learn more about humanity's ancient enemy, the Cestrium, who appear to be playing a role in events. From Kaeden's events, we learn a little more about the gods in this world, the Cestrium, and the greater plot of the world. Unlike the Shin monks, the Ishin monks are verifiably nuts, and Kaeden has to flee. He does so and escapes to Nor, where he installs a republic in place of the Empire. The third book opens up months after the second book. Regarding this book, I'm only going to focus on Adair and Kaeden, so I don't spoil anything for you. Adair is still aligned with Iltornja and is committed to preserving the Empire and fighting the Urgal invaders. Kaeden is still in the capital trying to hold together his failing republic. The main focus of both characters is to protect the Nor people from the Urgal invaders and by stopping humanity's ancient enemy, the Cestrium, from destroying the gods. However, they don't act in consort since there's no trust between the two characters, so their approach are based on their own specific strengths. Dare uses scheming and politicking to attempt to unite the Anor people against the Urgal invasion, while Caden relies on his discipline to save the gods from the Cestrium. Overall, the plot is just fine. There's nothing groundbreaking here. What's not fine, however, is all the plot holes in this trilogy. Take the Cestrium for instance. They're all explained to us as wanting to fix humanity and return them back to a state where they were not ruled by emotions. Yet, a Cestrium who is pals with Caden doesn't want to fix humanity and is never explained to us why he's like that. Then there's a scene in the last book. Basically, an Urgal chief defects to the Anor side to help them. In one of the battles, the Anorans and the defectors are completely surrounded and overrun. The Anoran POV characters present at the battle know that it's lost, so they abandon the fight. Seeing that the Urgal invade the capital after the battle, you would assume that all of the fighters in that battle died. Nope. The defecting Urgal chief shows up at the end of the book and resolves things on the Urgal side. No explanation how they survived and why any of the Urgal would listen to them at all in the first place after what happened. It's just really, really bad. And oh, don't even get me started on what happened in the Curan Islands in book 3 with the Ketteral. Literally, a James Bond villain moment happens where the big bad guy decides to taunt the heroes and do some elaborate execution nonsense instead of just killing them. And that's not even the worst part of that scene. I literally had to stop reading for that day after that part. It was so damn annoying. Anyway, I'm going to give the plot 2 stars out of 5 because of all the plot holes, the idiotic plot lines, and the fact that nothing groundbreaking is here. Category 2, World Building. The world building here is fine, actually. I like the conflict between the Cestrium and humanity and how the gods played a part in that. I do have a problem with Anor itself, though. It's supposed to be a vast empire, but it just never feels like that. It just feels like one city. Overall, I'll give it 3 stars out of 5. Category 3, the characters. I'm going to start off with Adair. She is supposed to be an extremely skilled politician. Yet how the hell does she have no political allies? It makes no sense. Her decision regarding Valen in book 2 is also beyond idiotic. Especially since at that point she knows exactly who Iltornia is. She's also supposed to be blessed by a goddess because of events in the 2nd book. But this amounts to really nothing. It literally felt like a plot device by the author in order for her to gain the favor of the religious sect whose leader she stupidly had murdered in the 1st book. Because stupid decisions is their specialty. That's exactly why she chooses to lie to Caden instead of being truthful despite the fate of the world hanging in the balance. Or the dumb decision to do a prison break just to lose the convict afterwards. The character is just bad and it's reality breaking. And sadly, that's a theme for a lot of the characters. Valen is viewed as a leader before the ending of book 2, but you never really see it. All he does is fail at everything, and his unit of Ketteral don't even respect him. It just breaks reality. Speaking of Ketteral, never once did I feel like this unit of elite soldiers was actually elite, since we never really get to see them do anything. We're told all about the fleet's exploits, who's a Ketteral leader, but we don't really see it. That, I cannot understand how writers don't understand how basic combat works. It does not matter what your training is. If you are 1 person against 20, you are going to die unless you have magic to help you out. Don't even mention the Slarnex thing. The writer makes it clear that it only heightens recovery and gives a boost to reflexes. Never once is explained that it boosts them to the point where they're flash level fast. As for Caden, the guy is utterly incompetent. He just never seems to do anything right, ever. Overall, I'll give it 1 star out of 5. And honestly, there is the sole reason for that. Category 4, the magic system. I actually really like the magic system here. The magic system revolves around leeches. In this world, leeches are basically wizards that can perform spells. It's not a matter of just saying some random words. Leeches need to draw on a well to perform their spells. For example, a leech's well might be the emotions of those around them. So the stronger the emotions of those around them are, the stronger they will be. So to make themselves stronger, they will need to stoke the emotions of those around them in order to get a stronger emotional response. It's a unique touch. Because of that, I'm going to give it 4 stars out of 5. Category 5, the writing. Brian Staveley's prose is fine. It's clear and it gets to the point and isn't trying to beat you over the head with impressive words or imagery. Overall, I would give it a solid 3 stars out of 5. Category 6, Enjoyment. The strange thing about this trilogy is that I actually liked the first book despite its flaws, but every additional book after just made me more annoyed. Usually I find that trilogies get better over time as the author gets into their groove. The big issue with me though is I just don't like the characters and I don't find any of them believable. And as a character guy more so than anything else, that hampers my enjoyment of a book. Because of that, I'm going to have to give it 2 stars out of 5. So that's my review of the Chronicle of the Unhewn Throne trilogy. I hope it helps you decide whether it's a series you want to invest in or not. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. With that, I'll see you all in the next one.